Another edition. Good afternoon. Show Up Central Oregon. Cheri Helt is joining me right now. We're going to talk about what our numbers look like, what it looks like to open potentially for the state, and what we need to be doing as business owners as well. So, hello, Cheri. How are you this fine afternoon, Tuesday?
I am great. How are you, Matt?
I am well because we are on a Tuesday, and this is going to be another week. There we go. Because we don't know what's going to happen, honestly. So let's go. I would love to start with that. I'm actually going to put it up. Let me find it again, Cheri. But let's talk a little bit about where our numbers are, if we could.
Okay, so first I want to start out with Deschutes County numbers. 51 positive cases have come out of St. Charles so far through the entire COVID crisis. We currently have 2 inpatients, 107 cases out of Central Oregon that were positive, 2,173 negative results, and 76 pending test results.
And I think it's important to note just right there, and the fact is that we do have 2 inpatient right now. So a few weeks ago we had 0. So it just, we're not, we're definitely not out of the woods yet, but it's
here come the dogs.
That they always do. They know that we're talking to right now, Cheri.
Oh, Rich. Yeah, they like to come and say hi.
But I think the one thing, let me open it back up, Cheri. So let's deal with then let's talk about where we are from a state. Are we still doing good there?
Yeah, so from state perspective, our numbers are down. Remember last week I was sharing that our numbers were good. They were about 4% of all tested people were turning up positive. We're down now to 3%, a little under 3%. So that is good. It's showing that the curve is still declining, which is great.
Yeah, and there I just put it up. I put the curve up so we can kind of take a look at that. I think that's a good.
Yeah, this is
visual.
One of the charts that I don't think gets enough attention because I think it really shows what's happening. We talk a lot about the numbers. You'll hear a lot that there's been 3,283 cases that have tested positive across our state. But when you look at it in this fashion, it really shows the curve and how we have flattened the curve. And you can really pick out where the peak was at. And so it's really interesting to look at it from that perspective. Also, another chart that I believe is 2 down from this.
Okay, let me go back to here just so we don't... everybody... is it the visits versus non-visits? Which one is that?
Yeah, the visits, the ER visits. So one of the things that we've also been monitoring as a state since testing has been not where we wanted it to be, one more down.
Oh, one more. Sorry.
I think shows it better. That it's that, that all the visits coming to the emergency room for COVID-like symptoms have decreased tremendously. So you can see the curve as well there. And I think that that's really important for people to visually see why we're, going through these reopening and why we're looking at that. Because, if we just hear the numbers, they're really scary. And it's still, this disease is not to be messed with. We have to take it very seriously. We've got to protect our vulnerable populations. But it is really nice to see the data in a little bit different delivery than we've been seeing it and hearing it.
Right. Yeah. Instead of that sort of upward, now we're down in that sort of, okay, we're just sort of leveled off a little bit. So I do want to talk about what this next steps for opening are. Obviously the 15th is sort of a number that has been thrown out by the governor last week. And I am of the belief that it will happen when it happens. We obviously want to get moving that direction, but I think it's also important from a business standpoint to note that each business is going to have their own sort of regulations. And can you talk a little bit about, I know you're a restaurant owner, but there's other people out there, so each business is going to be unique. And what are some of those unique challenges from a business standpoint?
So, yeah, I think it's really important. Last time we talked a lot about the criteria that we needed to meet in order to put in an application, in order to move forward into phase 1. And now most counties in our state, I think except 4, is that correct, Matt?
I'm sorry, what was that, Cheri?
How many counties was it again?
It was all but 4, I think, yes.
All but 4.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so,
all but 4 counties have put in their application to open up for phase one. And so on Friday is the date that we can start opening up for phase one. And so we'll see what comes out of the applications that have been turned into the governor's office and where those land and what the direction is for Deschutes County in particular. It would be really nice if we had the same regulations across all of Central Oregon. So I would love to see Jefferson and Crook as well, so that we don't have, weird delineations between, people on one side of the street versus the other side of the street under different orders. So that have been turned into the governor's office. What comes back? But as we're waiting for the governor to let us know if she's going to open us up for the phase one guidelines, I think it's really important that business owners are looking at what it means for them to open up, because there's a lot of things that we have to do. A lot of businesses are going to need PP&E, like your personal salons, hairdressers, and other businesses as well. And so we need to make sure that we're gathering those supplies for opening, getting the signs up, and looking at a lot of the other ideas. There is some slides that we have from Deschutes County that Emily over at Deschutes County has put together for all of us to make sure that we're thinking through what it looks like to open a business and meeting those requirements.
Yeah, let me pull that up. There's also, I was going to show, this is also the Deschutes County. Whoops, that's not. It's DeschutesCounty.org/health/page/COVID-19 planning for safe reopening. I'm sure that's probably available. I have that direct link.
That just rolled right off your
tongue. I know, it did. I'm just so good at saying URLs. That's what it is. But yeah, that's definitely one of those that has some great resources in looking at it from a standpoint of what those look like for us. Oh yeah, you just sent me that. There we go. So let me go grab this other one real quick.
There you go.
Yeah. So there we go. So yeah. So that is this available, Cheri, on the county's website? Do you know?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe that's where we got it from.
Okay. Cool.
So thank you, Sam, from my office.
Yeah.
For,
thank you. You're
tracking it down.
Your unsung
this was
hero.
A slide presentation that Emily had went over on the chamber call on Monday. So if any of you were on that, this is the same slide deck. But I wanted to get this out there for people who haven't seen it, and also just get it out there as a resource, because I think it's really great. She's thought through a lot of things on what you need to be thinking about and what you need to be getting. And so there's going to be a lot of organization it's going to take. It's, we're not reopening in that we're just dusting off our doorsteps and doing business as usual. Business is going to look very different from what it did when we closed, in order to prevent the spread and honor the work that we've done by flattening the curve. And so this is going to be a lot of guidelines to think about, what you're going to need to make sure your employees are safe, and how you're going to protect your employees, how you're going to protect your customers, what kind of sanitizer you're going to want to have, the alcohol percentage. It's really, really good, well thought through slides. And so I think they're really important for everyone to be looking at and going over, so that they're prepared.
Yeah, no, I was just looking. I mean, this has got some great info in it. So, and Cheri, are you going to post that on your Facebook page?
Yeah, I'm going to post that on my page because I just think that that's the phase. I mean, it's Tuesday, and the earliest that we could be open is Friday. But this is, we're going to have signs printed up to be put on our walls in restaurants and bathrooms and all the businesses. And then there's going to be protocols. There's different protocols for each business of how you screen your customers, how you have to screen if you're screening staff or not. Those are decisions that most business owners will be able to make for themselves. But making those and putting together all of that, I think, is going to take a good, thoughtful bit of time for everyone to get everything organized. And so I want to make sure that everyone has those resources as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's the reality is, and I think you could probably speak into this if you want, but if you haven't been already thinking about this and we do open Friday, you could I don't know that you're going to be able to. I mean, it's the reality is there's a lot of procedures that need to be put in place before you can open. So and we want to do it right. We don't want to do it wrong. That is for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that as a business owner, one of the things that I think would be the hardest thing is to be shut down again.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we want is to provide guidelines and data, and follow the regulations that are really steeped in the science to make sure we don't spread this any further, and that we do honor the work that we've done, and that we are allowed to keep our businesses open until there's a vaccine or a treatment for this, without having to close down again. And so doing it in a mindful way, I think, is particularly important.
Yeah, I would, and I think, I mean, the reality is if we do open, and from a business standpoint, and we have a resurgence, and we go, I mean, it's like that psychological confidence gets shattered also, and so we have to do this correctly, just for everything. I think more than anything else, it's an interesting time, but I think we definitely have an opportunity to do it right, for sure.
Well, and this is a time for us as business owners to be making policies and putting together those policies and sharing them out with our customers to make sure that they're comfortable with how we're going to be opening our business, and to realize how much thought we've put into this, to bring our employees back to work and bring back their benefits and make sure that they have stable incomes, but we're doing it in such a thoughtful way that it'll make customers feel comfortable in coming into our establishments.
Is there anything else, Cheri? I mean, I know you got somewhere to be at 4, so we got a couple more minutes, but anything else you want to make sure that that we're hearing and getting from a state level at this point in time?
I think so. Unemployment, the PUA, those have been filled out by a lot of people locally, and those are being processed. It is a new process, and so that's going slower than I think everyone would like. So if you're needing any help or assistance, please reach out and let me know. We're still working through a lot of unemployment claims every single day. And my heart breaks for everyone that is out there, and I'm trying my very best to make sure you have resources for rent and food. Rental assistance is getting closer within the e-board. The state did put some money into rental assistance that will be being dispersed soon. And so I know that Neighbor Impact is working diligently on that for our region. And so I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention, but I can't remember what it was. I might have to wait for Friday.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sometimes my head gets so full.
So the question will be, so the governor will have, do you believe it will be a press conference, or what will this be, just sort of a, I mean, if you were to read the tea leaves and what this process may look like, is it going to be a press conference, or is it just going to be sort of like one of those under the wire things that has happened before?
I'm not sure. I'm wondering, because I really like how the applications have been made public.
Yeah.
So that everybody can read that and feel comfortable in what's being asked of your county and where your county's at. So everyone can know exactly where their county is at on all of these supplies, testing. As a state, we completed 14,000 tests last week. So our testing is ramping up, which is a good sign. But I think that we have to, make these processes transparent. And so I really like that. But I don't know if, we're just going to read it on one of those sites where where the applications are shown what status they're in,
right,
or if there will be a full press conference.
Yeah.
I do know that there will be some executive orders being released around the guidelines, because they're going to have to be more than just guidelines. They're going to have to be implemented from an executive order from the governor's level, is what she's told us she's going to be doing. So we will see those. And, that's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm thinking that we'll have to be hearing something tomorrow or Thursday would be my guess.
Right. Well, and for anybody that hasn't seen it, if you actually do go to the state of Oregon on the governor, you can actually scroll down and actually see the applications. And like we talked about, actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 4 counties that have no applications in at this point in time. But it is, like Cheri was saying, it is very neat, very interesting and neat that you can take Deschutes County, for instance, and open our actual application, and you can read the application. So it's kind of a neat thing from that standpoint, and definitely open government, I guess, which is kind of a neat thing for sure.
Yes, so I'm thinking around Thursday she'll be doing a press conference, but that's just my inclination. So we'll see how the week rolls out. It seems like everything changes very rapidly during this. I know that when we first started talking, we wanted to get out information as fast as we could. And there hasn't really been a week where we haven't had a lot of information to share with everyone. So
right.
I'm glad that we're able to put this together and get information out to people in a quick manner, because everyone's got to be prepared for the next step quickly, and that seems to have been the case as we have went through the whole process.
Yeah. Thank you, Cheri. Appreciate it once again for you joining me. I think we're going to get you out on time, and so definitely appreciate it. And we will talk on Friday, and I'm looking forward to getting more information on where we're at from a state level. So thank you.
Yeah, Friday will be good. We'll have a whole new set of topics to talk about.
We will. So. We will. Thanks, Cheri. I appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks so much, Matt.
All right. Talk to you later. All right. Bye. So that was Cheri Helt, once again, joining me every Tuesday and Friday. And it's going to be an interesting week, like we've talked about. I don't have any projections. I can't say anything. All I can say is like, for anybody that caught my morning musings, I think that's what I call them. All I know is that we have the opportunity to choose how we respond. And I feel very strongly at this point in time that it won't. I mean, it does matter. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think from a business standpoint, I think it very much matters where we're at. I think we need to get some of these businesses going. We need to start moving things in the right direction, and that's extremely important. We need to definitely make that happen. But we don't, like Cheri was saying, we don't want to do it too early. We want to do it with the right policies and procedure, because if it goes the other way, it could be bad. And we want the confidence to open and stay open at this point in time. So, I encourage you all to react in different ways, in better ways. Choose your reactions, love, kindness, respect. This is not the time that we need to be partisan. We're all in this together. I won't use that we're all in the same boat, because obviously each of us has different boats, but we all are going through this pandemic together. All right. I'm going to say my sayonaras for right now. I'm going to go do quarantine with Combat COVID-19, and that's coming up at 4:30 over on the Combat COVID-19 site. I am also going to be talking to Josh tonight. Again, it's our Positive Talk with Josh. So join me tonight, and we'll be doing that, having some fun. But, all of us have a choice, and I include and encourage you to show up for Central Oregon.